realized this is something that I really want to do?
Theater healed me in so many ways, and I think that's why I loved it so much. I think theater is the reason I'm ready to go back to showbiz. When you turn 30, that is the moment to live your best life. Life is really happening. Life is a pretty lonely place.
Do you have friendships that you thought would last and then didn't?
All the friendships that I thought would last have lasted. I think the secret to life is to just lower your expectations. Just to understand that you don't own anybody. Love who's in front of you in that moment and love them while they're there. At a very young age, I knew that I wasn't like everybody else. I was exposed to homophobia at a very young age. I didn't choose to be different.
Hey guys, welcome back to Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. I am again here. And before anything else, just want to thank each and every single one of you for being here and just clicking on the show. I know that you guys are really waiting for the next guest to be here, and today I am joined with I could feel like this person is gonna um, change and revolutionize the whole industry when it comes to theater. This is such a very talented man, such a person with such good vibes and positive energy, and I'm just really grateful to have here on the show. Let's all welcome Alex Diaz. Alex, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Can we get some noise?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like the nicest podcast studio I've ever seen in my life. And I saw you looking at the camera. Can I just also say thank you guys for tuning in, for watching us. It's really nice to be here.
Yeah. And again, itong gagawin naman natin is just pure kwentuhan, but I'm really really excited to know how you are doing when it comes to the whole project that you're doing with Bar Boy. So again, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And I can't wait to see you on stage. I
Oh.
think we've partnered with Barfoot, and they're the ones who actually showed me or opened my eyes pagdating sa theater. So
Yes.
I'm really excited to see you. So can you share a little bit about what the Bar Boys is gonna be all about?
Yeah, no, I'm very excited to be here, and I think Barefoot Collective's name really stands for itself. Like they're, I am not even exaggerating when I say that I think that they're one of the front runners of Philippine theater. They're one of the, I don't know, modern game changers of Philippine theater, and it really is an honor to be a part of them and to be a part of Bar Boys, which I think for especially for I can speak for the actors. Like, of course, I can't speak for Pat, Jomel, Miko, and Mike, but for me, Benedix, Ramos, Omar Udin, and Jerome Canlas, it is somewhat of a legacy project for us because we birthed these characters.
Mm.
I remember the exact moment that I knew that me and Benedix were gonna be Eric and Chris, and this was like before they announced it. And for Jerome, his story about getting the project, where originally it was an audition for Elijah, but then, as fates would have it, the butterfly effect does what it does, and then it was him.
Yeah.
And Omar Udin, our baby brother, he's the youngest, and then him literally maturing into the role. It was a no-brainer for us to accept the project again because nobody else, of course, aside from our amazing covers and swings, nobody else has played these characters, and these characters we are, this is the legacy we will leave on Bar Boys.
Yeah.
And so when they called us back to do not just to do bigger theater, 800-seater theater in Hyundai Holarete, as well as a new staging. We're no longer traverse with audience on each side. We are a proscenium, so we'll have the audience in front. It'll be like a traditional theater. It was a no-brainer. We just had to accept it.
Yeah. And you mentioned kanina before we started recording that you're very picky when it comes to the projects that you're working on. Can you
Yes.
share a little bit about that and what made you kind of like say like this is a no-brainer?
Yeah, I did say picky. I don't know if it's picky, but just as life would have it, I've only ever done one other musical, and that was the Philippine adaptation of the classic Broadway musical Disney's Newsies, and it was about the newspaper boy strike in New York in the 1950s, during the recession right after the World War, and that was really crazy. I was very impatient as a young actor, so the traditional route of an actor here is you get a manager, And then basically your manager does everything. You get an inquiry, you pass it to your manager. You get bookings, you pass it to your manager.
Yeah.
You breathe, you pass it to your manager, you know. But I was always handling my own. I was always like, it was very bad. I shouldn't have done that. But I was a kid who would go to auditions without telling anybody, and I just I at the risk of sounding audacious, I always like they would say, "Why don't you do PBB?" And when someone asks you that, it's like it's just known. Why don't you do PBB? Because that is a star maker. And I was like, I just believe that I have the what it takes. So I would go to these auditions. So I auditioned for Newsies, and that was like 4 months of ballet, jazz, tap,
Mm.
gymnastics.
Mhm.
Um, and then after that, the next thing was I got a call all these years later from my friend Joshua Chan, who is one of the biggest event producers here. Um, and he told me JMY was looking for me for uh, a brand new theater project
Mm.
by Pat Valera and music by Mike Solomon. And I got there and I was the only one auditioning for Chris.
Mm.
And then I heard the music and I was like, we got to do this. It's so relevant. I remember during the Lenny campaign, I also was using my own money and flying around the country and
Mm.
performing for like hundreds of thousands of people, all in pursuit of a better tomorrow, diba?
Mm.
So to be able to do Bar Boys and it be the art be so close to the reality that we're going through is just it was a no brainer.
Yeah. I mean, that is an exciting journey for you, and I'm
Definitely.
sure that there is so many stories in between that that we can talk about later. But one thing that I'm curious though is, you mentioned that Bar Boys is something that is really relevant to what's happening right
Yes,
now.
yes.
Can you share a little bit about that?
I think the thing about the material itself is that it changes. It there are little changes depending on, and also the improv of the actors on stage changes depending on the current events happening.
Mm.
So at the time of the story of Josh and Eric and Chris and Toran, it was set right after
Yeah.
the Pink Revolution of 2022.
Mm.
2022, am I correct? The Lenny rally? Let's say
Yeah, let's say.
2022,
Yeah.
something like that. So now we're in a very different place, right?
Mm-hmm.
President Marcos is now seated, the son of former dictator.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a lot of questions. We were seeing changes, but we're also, we have our eyes cocked. We're like, what's happening here?
Mm.
Um, so that yeah, it's a very interesting time to be in the Philippines and to be paying attention to the politics of our country
Yeah.
and I think Bar Boys reflects that and I
Mm.
think it's a very low entry point for non-political people to develop a keenness for
Mm.
politics and
Yeah.
current events in the
Yeah.
country.
Ang
So
ang galing naman nun, like nag-a-adjust siya depending on, like, I think that's also the beauty of, let's say, doing theater than, let's say, movies. Pag sa
yes.
movie, like, it's fixed, it's there. Maybe you
Oh.
can do another
Mhm,
movie.
mhm, mhm.
You got kailangan mo siyang parang remodel or do another version. But in theater, you can kind of like adjust or tweaks the
Yes, yes.
lines na
Yeah.
ano. You mentioned also na parang do you are you guys allowed to do improv during the show? I'm curious as well.
You know what? I don't know what the rules of theater are.
Na.
Um, from what I know, there's a level of improv, but the way Pat Valera's brain works is there is a tempo
Mm,
to the delivery. So we are trained in the rehearsal process that we have to deliver with a certain cadence in
mm,
order because it's how the story is pushed forward,
mm.
right? It's not like some film where the camera angles and special effects. It's everything's happening. Everything lives and dies on stage in front of you. That's why it's so beautiful, right?
Yeah.
They say there's a saying that I saw online that goes, uh, "Film is like rehearsing for a stage play and never getting to perform."
Mm.
Because you do it once.
Yeah.
You rehearse for that time, you prepare for it, but then you do it once. Whereas in theater, it's like Groundhog Day. You get to live the best day of your life over and over and over again and make different choices. And some days, some days you are feeling sick, and then you inject that into your character.
Mhm.
Some days you feel amazing. One day we had Nadine in the audience, Nadine Lustre, and the whole production was on fire. One day we had Senator Laila De Lima, and there was a different heaviness to our performance.
Mm.
So all of these things, just like I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. It's Pat always says that theater is um, the first. What is it, Mikey? Theater is the first. I can't say it verbatim, but it's the first form of. It's where rebellion starts
Mm.
in art, something like that. Pat, please don't kill me. It's something like that. Revolutions start in art on theater. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something, you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean, right?
yeah. All right. Thanks for sharing that. Now, can you take us a little bit back nung nagsisimula ka and the journey as well into you you did kind of like the traditional route. You tried it, diba?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And then now you're here and you're getting awards and you're enjoying you're really excited for like doing this. Is
yeah.
what was the journey and what was going through your mind in making these decisions like hey, like I can go with the traditional route, but I really want to do this. Where can you take us back? Na when did you realize na parang okay, this is something that I really want to do?
Okay. So I did my first musical. I did my first musical when I was 12. I was Simba in Lion King in high school.
Mm.
And then I was scouted by my first agent when I was 14. I'd never seen Manila, but I was scouted by someone from GMA. So I went and I did the tour of the radio station, and I met, the other actors. And at that time, my dad was still very apprehensive of letting me join Showbiz. So I got this role, but then he forbade me from going.
Mm.
So um, the show was called First Time. It was like Barbie Forteza. I remember it was Joyce Ching. But anyway, I had I had this fire in me. I was like, oh, I'm gonna come back with a vengeance. So as soon as I got to college, I went behind my dad's back. I started doing commercials. Or my first paycheck there. Bought my first dog, my dog Lola, who's passed away, but God bless her. Um, and then I was scouted for Star Magic Circle 2013.
Mm.
Um, because I was doing radio. I was a radio jock for Monster Radio RX 93.1.
Oh wow. Mm.
I was a junior jock, and and then my manager heard me on the radio, and then he called up the station, and he's like, "Who is that kid speaking on the radio?"
Mm.
And then from there, I was launched in Star Magic with Julia Barreto and Khalil Ramos and Liza. I would say theater healed me in so many ways, and I think showbiz, it does attract a lot of beautiful broken people.
Mm.
That's the truth. But theater, oh, theater, I feel like theater attracts just so many just people who just are performers and artists in their heart of hearts.
Mm.
And it attracts so many kooky, weird, amazing individuals.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it's you're there for the talent and you're there for the art.
Yeah.
And it's not so much about how you look, it's about what you can bring to the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's why I loved it so much.
Mm-hmm.
And coming back has really put me together. The people I've met, Barefoot and their trust, and yeah, honestly, I think theater is the reason I'm ready to go back to showbiz.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
and just tackle all of it.
I think one common denominator na nakikita ko from people who are in the theater, they are the most passionate people
Oh
I I
goodness.
I meet. Talagang kakaiba talaga yung heart in I mean we had Gab here
Yeah,
also like
yeah,
the passion for the art of
yeah.
it. And hindi na namin pinag-usapan yung business side of it, but just the art itself, it's enough to keep, artists
Uh-huh.
uh keep on doing what they want
Yeah,
they do. So like appreciate the honesty on that.
yeah. Thank you, thank you.
But you also mentioned na parang theater is probably the reason why you're ready to go back in showbiz.
Yeah.
W- Did uh, I'm curious.
Yeah.
What was there? Parang ano nangyari between that moment na parang okay, I want to stop or pause on showbiz and try this. Did projects on theater, sa theater, nag-align ba yan? Dumating ba yan? Kaya ka nag-focus doon? Or is it more like a conscious choice na I might want to slow down on showbiz?
Um, I think that being in the image industry, seeing yourself on a camera, um, maturing on camera, and constantly looking at past versions of yourself, I think it is like a quantum slipstream into a deeper level of awareness. And it got to a point where I was just in showbiz, and it's not easy. I went through my most tumultuous years, my most traumatic years in front of the spotlight. Um, there was so much that I was suffering through behind the scenes
Mm.
that and only a few things came to light, and so I just had to take a step back because when I turned 30, and I think everybody goes through these big changes at certain milestones in their life.
Yeah.
And the way I can describe turning 30 was I did not, I could no longer operate with the coping mechanisms and the armor that I had
Mm.
put on. I feel like when you're in your first decade of life, you have all of these personality traits and habits and things that are impressed upon you by the people who raise you, your
Yeah.
environment, your
Culture.
predisposition,
Yeah.
culture, exactly. And then when you're in your second decade of life, you're like, look, this is me. I'm an adult.
Yeah.
Let me use the tools that I have, even if I don't know what this does. Let me use it. And then you get to 30 and you start, and the whole process of 20 to 30 is seeing which circuits complete themselves. Does how I handle conversation this way, is that good? Like, you look at the things that have happened, the not pleasant things that have happened in your life, and you start to say, is it because of how I communicate? Is it because I speak like my mom or that I
Yeah.
yell like my dad? So you get to 30 and I guess I just put my head down and I was just removing all the things that weren't me for so long that I looked up and I knew who I wasn't, but I didn't know who I was.
Mm.
And I think that like there's that process now of now I'm starting to feel like, oh, this is who I am at 30.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
these are the tools that I put. Do you have that feeling
Yes.
as well?
Super interesting point kasi I think me and my partner we had that conversation like 2 days ago.
Okay. How
Na
how young are you, may I ask?
29. I just turned 29 last
Oh,
week.
29 is a
So
hard year.
it's
Yeah.
such a weird
It
year.
is. You feel like you don't have enough time, but at the same time, you're in your 20s still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 30 is just creeping in. Na
Yep.
parang, okay, the responsibilities of,
Yep.
being 30. But I remember I told her that I think, because my team, they're mostly Gen Zs,
Yes.
right? Our producers,
That's why you're
videographers.
thriving.
I know, they're so good at
They're in
this.
the know. They know what's up.
But they posted a photo, like a group photo of them, and they look so young,
Uh-huh.
right? And for me, I was telling my girlfriend that they have no idea what's gonna happen for the next 5 years. Like they're
Oh.
mostly 25,
Mostly
25,
25 is
30.
the first like unraveling. It's like that big moment of like, oh my God, something's happening.
Yeah,
They don't know what's happening.
yeah. And then when you get to 29 or 30, you have enough data,
Yeah.
or like the patterns.
You have enough.
Yeah,
You have enough to know like, oh shit. Yeah.
but not enough to really know who you are.
Yes.
Like just like what you said,
Yeah.
you kind of know what you don't want to be,
Yes.
who you don't want to resonate with,
Yep.
associate yourself with. Kind of like you know your branding or
Yeah.
ano nang gusto mong but not fully pa.
Yes.
But the 20s are more of like just testing it out and
Yes.
knowing that okay, I don't like that.
Making the mistakes.
Yeah.
Tae method, trial
Yeah.
and error. Yep.
Tayo method.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all I learned from math. Yeah. For sure. But let me tell you,
Okay.
the one resounding thing that I can share, and to everybody listening who's going through the same problem, what responsibilities? There is no prescribed set of responsibilities that you need to have at 30. you know. And also the one thing that I was getting so much of when I turned 30 was all the 30 plus people saying welcome to the club. And I get it. I At 30 I got it. I was like, okay, I'm like I'm like the bunso of the third decaders. And it's exciting because you don't have these raging hormones that are dictating your behavior,
Yeah.
but you're still young enough that if you play your cards right, like when
Mm.
you turn 30, that is the time when it's like you need to figure out your habits,
Mm.
because life, if you ever watch the movie Click,
Yeah. Mhm.
it's when you do these automatic things, all of a sudden you like speed through things you don't like, you know? So
Yeah.
when you turn 30, like that is the moment to live your best life.
Yes.
And
That's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I thank you for sharing that. It again so weird because my partner naman,
Yeah.
she turned 30
Okay.
a week after I did.
Welcome to the
So
club,
yeah,
whoever this is.
kaka-birthday niya
Yep.
lang,
Happy
30
birthday.
years old. So ako 29. So like, but
Yeah.
I feel that pagdating sa kanya, leading up to the 30th
Yes.
birthday,
Yes.
so much pressure, right?
It's very dehumanizing. It's very destabilizing.
Yeah. But pagdating ng 30, parang, okay, wala namang problema pala.
Wala.
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 Wala
Wala.
namang
When you
problema.
get there, you're like, nah. You know, there are days where it's like, nah, nah. And then there are days where it's like, ah, ah. But then, you know, and then you come out of it slowly and it becomes
Uh,
more consistent.
yeah.
I mean, I was in Canada for 4 months.
Mhm.
So I promised myself at 25, you're going to go to Canada, you're going to pursue showbiz, blah, 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 blah. It took me 5 years longer than my game plan. So I told myself at 30, after Bar Boys, I'm going.
Mm.
So I went. I decided after 10 years in an Asian culture, I decided to thrust myself in a completely new culture that I was completely not that person anymore. And it was very destabilizing. You know, you can't help but like think about how short life is and how long it is.
Mm.
But you need that,
Yeah.
because what that is you pouring out the water, the dirty water, and now there is a gap. So you have like a phantom hole of traits that you're trying to fill they're no longer there. So there's that panic of like, oh my god, what is it? Who am I? What is this? You know?
Yeah.
And you're slowly pouring in things of your choosing.
Yeah.
And I think that is what being 30 is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Nah, I'm part of the club na. So
Yes. Well, welcome to the club.
no, but I agree with that na. But the thing is, like, what most I mean, ako rin pinagdaanan ko naman, but young
Oh.
people don't see talaga na, a glass that is waiting to be filled
Yes.
can be one of the most exciting things.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. I don't think I've ever been as much of a bum as I am this year.
Okay, can you share a little bit about that?
All I have is my art. Like
Uh-huh.
I went to Canada and I just, because when I left Canada to come to the Philippines, I was longing for Canada up until I left for Canada to leave the Philippines, up until I left at 30. And then you realize that when you get to a certain age, the naivete is just gone, and life is a pretty lonely place.
Mm.
And you just have to pour. It made me, because I've always been the person who's like, I want to see the world, I want to meet new people, and I thought I was always going to be this person. And then I got to 30 and I go to Canada and I'm with my mom, I'm with my sister and my brother, but then it's harder to meet people at this age.
Mm.
And that's just the reality, because half of us are starting families, half of us are on the streets,
Mm.
drug addicts, and half of us are working our asses off.
Yeah.
So life is really happening.
Mm.
And I think what I learned from that moment was I hear like voices. It must sound crazy. I hear voices in my head. And one of them was like, pour into the already existing relationship. Stop looking outside for what already exists in your life, because everything that you're looking for, everything you're reaching for, you will be able to reach it if you plant your roots deep enough. You can
Mm.
only reach up as far as you've reached down, as above, so below,
Mm.
right? So I don't know what my point was. What was my
Yeah.
point?
No,
Just
it's
yapping.
really just trying to making sure that I think you find the things that you want to value the most.
Yes.
Na parang marami talaga eh, maraming nangyayari,
Yes.
maraming
Yeah.
mistakes, but you gotta I think something that resonated with me with just what you said is the relationships part.
Yeah.
Na parang doon mo realize na, oh, if I want to live a meaningful life, like I just got to look at the relationships that I have now.
Yes.
And I think that's my next question for you. And also connecting this to like Bar Boys.
Yeah.
Bar Boys is a story about friendship,
Yes. Through
brotherhood,
and through.
right?
Yeah.
Well, aside from the other interesting topics about it,
Yeah.
but you've kind of lived different lives when you were when you were 14 years old, at 20s, and
Yes.
now
I've
to
been very
30s.
privileged with the life that I have.
But
Very Chris.
what about the friendships? How is your kind of like friendships now, and how was it before, and what's like the main difference that you can kind of pinpoint?
I had this really weird thought the other day. Like, I have these moments in my life where I've been slapped across the face by some of the most important people in my life. And it's all the same person, I think. It's all like the universe knocking sense into you. And one of those people was my best friend, Trish. If you're watching this, Trish, yeah, she is. I've known her for 18 years.
Mm.
And she taught me the value of long friendships because I was always so excited about it's the ADHD. I'm always excited for
Mhm.
new experiences. I always want that next rush of dopamine. Not so much now. I've done the work to reset my dopamine baseline, and I'm
Uh-huh.
really happy with where
Wow,
it's at. Like,
dopamine reset.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But during those days, like, I was so excited with her new thing. But then having my best friend Trish, and just knowing her for 18 years it gets so much sweeter the longer you know somebody. So yeah, you definitely pour into those friendships.
Yeah. But do you have friendships that you thought would last and then didn't?
No.
No.
I'm a very detached person. Like
Really?
yeah. Like for example, like our cast last year was I don't know. It's crazy how much we all love each other.
Mm.
But I did not go into it thinking I would be friends with everybody forever.
Mm.
I put my heart on the line, on my sleeve, like in the beginning, and I was the one who's like, "Oh, let's hang out here. Let's hang out after rehearsals. Let's hang out at my house. Everybody, let's party together. Let's sleep over for 3 days."
Mm.
But when Bar Boys ended, I knew in the beginning. I was like, the beauty about theater is that you're in a room with the same people for 4 months, knowing that you may never be in the same room with them ever again. And true enough, we did lose one of our castmates last year. Her name is Uziel.
Mm.
What's Uziel's last name? Uziel Delamide. She's a brilliant actress. We lost her last year. It was very sudden, and I can't even say I have no regrets because I there was several moments where I would be in rehearsals like I'm in this moment.
Mm.
When you catch yourself in a moment and you know you're in a moment,
Yeah.
and so you're able to just like relish it
Take
so much
everything in.
more. Have you
Yeah.
ever had that?
Yeah. When you kind of like separate yourself, like there's like this space where you see yourself
In third,
in third POV, like I'm living this moment,
yes,
and then you get to
yes.
appreciate things better. I think a lot of people get weirded out when I do that sometimes. Like I just randomly just pause and appreciate life. Now
Yeah.
this is such a beautiful scene.
And I think that is the antidote to regret and like nostalgia.
Mm-mm.
I will always nostalgia always makes me sad. Like
Mm.
when you feel like when you miss a moment, right? But I feel like that's the antidote to nostalgia is always reminding yourself in the moment, like oh my gosh, I'm in a podcast, because I look back at that time and I may never see some of those people ever again, but
Mm.
I have no regrets.
Yeah.
And um, yeah, so I guess to round off that point, like, are there friendships that I didn't think would last? I don't think I've ever had that expectation on friendships because
Mm.
I think I've been more concerned about all the friendships that I thought would last have lasted.
Mm.
And
What do you think is the secret of making a friendship and last?
I think the secret to life is to just lower your expectations,
Mm.
you know, and a level of detachment, like just to understand that you don't own anybody, that that love who's in front of you in that moment and love them while they're there,
Mm.
because your paths might inevitably diverge, but that's the thing about life is they intersect and they diverge, and except for people who have abandonment issues, which that sucks. But yeah, they have a level of detachment. uh, I think it's Buddha who
Hmm.
says, if you love a flower, don't pick it, otherwise it ceases to be what you love.
Hmm.
It will die. So I think that's the secret, is to just love them.
How did you get into this kind of thinking? It's sort of refreshing to hear
Yeah.
your point of views, your
Oh,
ideas, and
thank you. I
how you
appreciate that.
share it. And I can just feel that although I can I love the you can kind of like what we call perfect self-expression. I can feel
Oh,
that whatever
I'm
if
so flattered. Thank
when you're sharing a story, I could feel that. But I feel that you're a very spiritual person
you. Yeah.
with all the detachment. How do you learn all of these things?
Like point blank, it's because I'm queer.
Mm,
It's because I don't really identify with labels, but I think labels are for other people. I think that people are afraid of what they don't understand. So that's why, if Jesus came back now, we'd kill him. If you guys saw Cynthia Erivo in Jesus Christ Superstar,
mm,
if you read the comment section, this is exactly why Jesus hasn't come to earth yet. Because like people are crucifying her in the comments, and I'm like, this is the whole this is the whole thing. This is the whole shtick. But yeah, to round that off, like at a very young age, I knew that I wasn't like everybody else.
mm,
So um, I was exposed to homophobia at a very young age. And I think it contributed to my queerness
mm,
because I was vilifying heteronormativity because I was like, I didn't choose to be different, but I all of a sudden I don't get to have a seat at the table.
mm,
And so at a very young age, I developed a lot of empathy. I was able to read rooms. I was able to sense when it was safe to be open or when it was dangerous to be open.
mm,
Um, and so at a young age, I was already contemplating life and death. And my dad, he's 80. He had me very late, so he had white hair. At a young age, I was very aware of like mortality and hate crimes and
mm.
racism.
Yeah.
And I think that is where I started just
Mm,
digging and digging and digging and digging, and I just realized that like love is the solution, and
yeah.
there's it's not that complicated.
Yeah.
We get caught up in a lot of things, but I think suffering, um, it's really the people who've gone through shit that just have not a lot of place for hate, in their
Mm,
heart.
yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for that great question.